Like, we started selling this product out of the trunk of our cars.
Don't be afraid to fail.
Inventory management is about balance.
Get the product out. That's number one.
I've always preached sustainable growth.
So we just started building community.
Look at the data.
Product development is everything.
Yeah, we say we're a brick, click, and pop.
But you have to love what you do.
Howdy.
Thanks for joining us.
Michael, happy to be here.
Yeah, he's an inventory boss. I've met with Michael a lot. It's one of those things where he's like, are you inventory forecasting? He always says to me when he goes and he speaks at conferences all around North America, he speaks at universities. He's a really prized professional in this field. And he said to me, he's the guy that will be up until 2 in the morning with merchants talking about inventory, because he opens up that knowledge gap and he shows people what they're not doing or what they could be doing better. So Michael, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule and joining us. I'm going to hand it over to you now.
Okay, great. Hey, thanks, Scott. Inventory management, it's probably the least sexiest part of your business, but the one that can really either boost you in times like this or be a real drag. Right now, as far as our current situation, people are either crushing it or they're dying with a warehouse full of stuff they can't move and wishing they could convert that to cash, like Scott was talking about. So inventory management is a big part of any business that moves goods, whether you're online or brick and mortar. And so what I did when I started my e-commerce journey with physical products 7 years ago, I could find a ton of people that would teach me how to do the ads, do all sorts of optimization of my listings, build an email list, but I couldn't find anyone to teach me, once I started selling stuff, how to know when to reorder, which is difficult enough if you've got one product, but if you expand into 20 or 30 or 50 products from different factories, different parts of the world, inventory management and your cash flow can be a huge part of the factor of whether you succeed or fail, or to the degree that you do. So I had to step back and realize I can't find a course on this. I can't figure out how to do this. No one's teaching this. So I stepped back a couple of years ago and said, okay, I do have a business degree. I never used it. I went to law school instead, but I can actually dust this thing off and figure this out. So I did. And I took a deep dive into logistics. I took any seminar or attended any seminar or webinar I could that had everything to do with logistics. Didn't matter if it was about Amazon or e-commerce. And I learned the math. And I realized this is totally doable. It's something you can absolutely wrap your hands around, but people aren't teaching it because it's math related. And if, as as being a part of the online e-commerce business, there's a whole lot of marketing going on and not a whole lot of math. And so once I got my hands around this, we tweaked it with a lot of seller friends of mine, and we got this figured out. And then I started getting all sorts of invitations to attend masterminds and seminars, and realized, as Scott was saying, I'd be at the bar at 2 in the morning talking about this, because bigger sellers than me would say, hey, we got to get this handled. Can you help us? And then I realized I got to build a course around this. I got to help for 2 reasons. One, I want to diversify my income into information marketing like I used to have. But also there's such a need. And so many of my friends were either failing or not based on their inventory. And so we built a course called Inventory Boss. And I'm going to talk a little bit about it today. Then we're going to get into some Q&A, but I also want to talk about the COVID-19 event that's occurring. And I'm using the word event because that's an inventory term, and how to adjust for it. So let me start off with sharing my screen here. And starting a quick slideshow. So here's the Inventory Boss. Inventory management is about balance. It's about balance between your precious capital, which a lot of you are really realizing right now, as it relates to COVID-19, how much debt you have and how much cash you have on hand and how much inventory you've got. Some people are better positioned than others, but inventory management for an online business that sells physical products is very key to the balance that you have in your personal finances, your business finances, and the success of your business, especially during times like this. So when you think of inventory management, I want you to think most about balance. And the balance is your precious capital, which is your operating funds and just how much cash you have on hand versus what you need to have in order to sell. So how much inventory you have on stock all the time, so you never run out of inventory, but you don't overstock either. So here's an example between the balance. You've got a warehouse full of stuff that's just sitting there collecting dust, and you can look at each one of those boxes as boxes full of cash, because that's what they are. Or currently you have nothing to sell, and so your cash flow dries up and you're making no money. So this is the balance between the two. And so we have a 7-step system that will show you how to create that balance that covers things that just aren't taught. One is called a reorder point. That's the first thing you need to wrap your arms around. It's a simple little math process. I'm going to walk you through it today. And it tells you at what point in your inventory you should make another order so that you don't run out. Next one is historical data. This is a big thing for what we're going through right now. And that historical data shows you, obviously what you've sold in the last 12 months, 24 months. When you add some seasonality to it, it really fine tunes it for you. But you need to be able to clean up your data. Right now, we're having an event. And this event, no one knows how long it's going to last, but it's affecting your business one way or the other. This event, you can't really, is going to put a hole in your forecasting if you can't clean up your data. And I'll show you what I mean by that. Then there's forecasting future demand. That's probably one of the biggest challenges that people have is, how big should I make my order? Especially if you have multiple factories or you have a whole lot of products. How much should you order of this product? Because it requires your cash. What terms do I have with this factory? Forecasting your future sales is a big challenge for a lot of people, and it doesn't have to be. Manual adjustments, very important, would be, the spreadsheet math will teach you, if you forecast, based on, all the math, how much you should order. But as a business owner, you're going to need to be able to make adjustments. For example, if you're going to have a coupon giveaway for a week, or you're going to, as a business person, make decisions that you need to manually adjust your order size. And I show you how to do that. Then there's something called an EOQ. It stands for economic order quantity. And what it does is it helps you optimize the amount that you order based on your storage fees. So storage fees are a big part of your expenses as a business owner, and the order size that you make. Then there's consolidated shipping from different ports if you import a lot, and warehouse balancing. And this basically really is important for Amazon sellers, because Amazon sellers right now are struggling because Amazon in March said, you know what, we don't want your stuff in our warehouse right now. So they blocked you from being able to send a lot of products in. And so it's a huge deal. So if you have a warehouse here that's got a lot of products that is charging you a certain fee, and Amazon's FBA, which is charging you a lot more, you have to be able to balance that. So these are the 7 steps that we kind of built together and figured out. And they start with, when do I reorder? And I'm going to go through this really quickly, and I want to tell you, these slides are going to be available. If Scott wants them, I'll just hand him the slides. But I'm going to give you an overview today of these 7 steps. Don't try to take notes. You don't have to, because at the end of this, I'm just going to give you my course for 60 days. So relax. I'm going to go through these quickly, answer some questions, but know that there's so much detail surrounding each one of these that I take you by the hand and I walk you through it. Soup to nuts, really simple. So when do I reorder? One of the 2 reasons you ever run out of inventory and bring your cash flow to a screaming halt is because you didn't order on time or you didn't order enough. The reorder point teaches you when to order. There's 3 steps. It's really simple. You have to figure out what your lead time is, which you know as a business person, but that's from the moment you send the email, the WeChat, the Skype that says, I need to order 5,000 units. That day to when you can actually fulfill that customer's order X amount of days in the future. So that would be, for example, 70 days. So that's what a lead time is. So that includes the order, the production, the shipping, all that stuff. Daily demand is you look at your historical data and you say, what's what's my daily demand? And let's say it's 100 units a day. And then you have your safety stock. Now, safety stock is a big deal right now. How many days of buffer inventory do you hold in your warehouse beyond what you need for the foreseeable future? So if you can't get anything out of China, or you can't get anything from your factory for whatever reason, how much safety stock do I have? So safety stock right now and events are the biggest thing going on in inventory right now. And a safety stock is something you have to figure out for your business. So when you have these 3 items, you can figure out your reorder point. So let's look at the math, and it's really simple. Is a reorder point is your lead time times your daily demand plus your safety stock. And this is the simplest math that you can break this down into. Anybody can do this. And let's take our lead time of 70 days, your daily demand of 100 days, and your safety stock of 15 days. So if something happens, let's forget COVID right now, but if your ship gets delayed, if your customs holds your container for whatever reason, if there's any kind of problem, you've got safety stock so that you don't run out. So 15 days times 100 days of daily demand. Here's how it works. You've got 70 days of lead time, 100 units a day, plus 15 days times 100 is 8,500 units. So when you get to 8,500 units, it's time to make an order. It's as simple as that. And if you can incorporate this in your business, especially if you just have one product or a handful of products, it's really simple to keep track of this so that you never run out of inventory. Now, the next step is data collection. And we get into what's called outliers and events. And this is what's happening right now. When you look at, it's like baking a cake. The expression, you don't want to bake certain things in the cake. And one thing you don't want to bake in your numbers before you start forecasting is outliers or events, which would be like a spike in sales because you did a coupon promotion, or you ran out of inventory. You don't want that to affect your forecast because it was an event that really doesn't reflect your sales. So you need to adjust for those things to properly forecast for your future sales. Hope that makes sense. So a spike would be in sales would be a coupon promotion. And a dip would be, oh my gosh, COVID-19 is trashing my business. The ports are closed in China. We don't know what to do. That's a dip. Okay, that's an event. That's happening right now to a lot of sellers across the world in e-commerce and in brick and mortar. I mean, we can't get the product in. This is an event. And so you have to be able to adjust your data so that once your data is squared away, then you can forecast. After that is seasonality. Seasonality is huge for everybody. I mean, there's very few products out there where the time of year doesn't affect your sales. And so once you figure out the seasonality index for each one of your products, oh my gosh, it makes forecasting a dream because you can really literally forecast down to a number of units, or at least a box of 50, that accurately for your future sales. So here's the thing that catches most people and really screws them up, and that's forecasting future demand. What you want to know about forecasting future demand is you're not trying to figure out, say here we are in April, and I have a lead time. That means I'm not even going to get anything into the harbor until July. And by the time it's available, I buy 8 months or 4 months worth of product. You're ordering for something that takes place in the future for a certain amount of time in the future. That's forecasting future demand. So a lot of people, they just freeze up and they guess. And so they run their business based on their best guesstimates. But you don't have to do that because it's not that difficult. What you need to do is you need to just figure out that next month. So I'm looking at month number 7. I've highlighted it. What do? You don't freak out. You just have to run the numbers to get to the next month. If you can figure out the next month, you can extrapolate from there. And it's not guesstimating, it's mathematical extrapolation, and it works. So forecasting future demand, there's 3 different ways we do it. But I just want to let you know that all we're trying to do is figure out that next month in the formula, okay? Now, here's what stops people. There's something called a simple moving average, and it's probably the most basic way of forecasting. But if you open up an inventory management book or go online and type this in, try to figure it out, you're presented with this. And you look at that and you go, I don't know how to do that. And that's the simple moving average. You get to something called a weighted moving average, which I use primarily, and it looks like this. And at this point, most people think, okay, I'm out of here. I'm going to go back to my guessing. Exponential smoothing, it looks like this. But the beautiful thing is, and this is what I tell people, and I'm going to tell you this right now. If I say this to everybody, if God created the heavens and the earth, Bill Gates gave us Excel. Okay, he compressed all of it into Microsoft Excel, and so you can take the simple moving average, the weighted moving average. It looks ugly on the screen, but it just looks like this on a spreadsheet. All the math takes place behind you, so you just have to figure out the formulas, why they work, which I explained to you, why you'd select one or the other, test them on your product on the historical data, and then the computer, the spreadsheets, they do all the work for you. So that's what stops most people from really getting seriously business-minded about their inventory management. Is the math just looks scary, but it doesn't have to at all. So the next step beyond that, I know I'm blasting through this, but I'm going to hand you my course, is manual adjustments. Manual adjustments are as simple as, but they're so important, as per unit adjustments. For example, if you're also an Amazon seller or you sell on different platforms, Amazon typically has Prime Day somewhere in the middle of July, and you know that it's not seasonality in the sense that you're selling more camping gear in summer, but it's an event that you can adjust for manually. So if you're going to run a certain amount of promotional coupons or whatever you're going to do, you can adjust this by unit. Another one is adjusting by percentage. So for example, one of the things that I've done, like I mentioned, I'm also a lawyer, is I got patents on some of my products. And so as soon as I was able to do that, I could wipe off a lot of competition by saying, hey, the patent belongs to me. You need to stop selling. And I saw my sales change on a percentage basis. So once I received the patent, I could forecast and increase it on a percentage basis. There's other reasons you'd use that besides just patents, but you can make manual adjustments in your forecast because you're a business owner and you understand your business much better than a spreadsheet or a computer program. So as the business owner, you can know at different times in the year, well, I need to adjust it this way. I need to make my adjustments this way manually. So when you run the whole forecast out, man, you're accurate as all get out. So those are manual adjustments. One of the last things is the EOQ. Now, if you've ever gone online and typed in inventory management, you're going to see the EOQ pop up a lot, and it frightens people because the EOQ is a square root function. And so it stops you dead in your tracks right there because you're trying to figure out, well, I'm just selling these things. Why would I use, square root functions for that? But the EOQ is important only to the extent that you're making sure you're buying the optimal amount. Once you're running your forecast and you think, okay, my forecast comes out to 8,500 units. Then you run the EOQ on that one product, and I'll show you what that means in a minute. And it'll give you kind of a guideline to make sure that you're ordering the right amount based on your storage fees, and you're just further optimizing your order, because at the end of the day, you're not doing this as a hobby, or you shouldn't be. Maybe you are. I don't know. I'm doing this for a business, and so I want to order only the right amount so that I don't run out of inventory, and I'm optimizing my storage fees along the way. Okay, so this is what it looks like, and people go, "Oh Lord, I don't know what that means," but it's actually really simple. In this case, the EOQ says you're just going to take a square root. And again, you have a spreadsheet. You can do this on your iPhone, or you have your annual demand of, let's say, whatever it is, your order cost, which would be, in the container, how much your freight forwarder fees are if you're importing, and then what your storage cost is per unit annually. That's all it is. So if you plug these numbers in, you see that you've got the whole function is there in Excel waiting for you. So all you have to do is, as soon as you put in that last value, $2.30, hit enter, boom. It tells you, you know, you're gonna order 8,800 or 8,500. It's really close to 8,800. You're good to go. That's optimized. And so once you make your forecast and you do all these things, you just check it against the EOQ to make sure that you're ordering the most optimal amount in that one order. And that's what the EOQ does. After that, if you order from different factories in different ports, I show you how to consolidate based on a CDM level. And then this, again, is just for people that, and I know this is mostly Shopify, but a lot of people sell on different platforms. And there's a way to balance your warehouse on a fee basis between what your warehouse is charging you per pallet versus what, for example, Amazon's charging you for cubic foot. And so if you can balance that based on your monthly order sizes, then you can really save a ton of money on your Amazon seller fees. So those are the 7 steps that we've incorporated into the Inventory Boss. And like I said, typically we have a 14-day free trial, but for Scott, and just because this is just a weird time, anyone that signs up right now, you're gonna get 60 days. So if you want to take a course on inventory management, I suggest you do. Go to inventoryboss.com, sign up. Everyone that signs up today, I'm going to switch from the 14-day to a 60-day free trial. We have software that runs the whole thing, but this is broken into what's called a lecture and a lab. The lecture is a lot of videos that cover in greater detail what I just blasted through right here. And it will really give you confidence, because that's what a lot of people lack when it comes to inventory management. They do a lot of guesstimating, and they try their best, and they get a bunch of spreadsheets. And if you ask one guy here, how do you do it? He'd tell you one way. Another guy here, he'd tell you another way. And there's really no great training. There's really no uniformity in how to do it. And I can tell you, I amalgamated, I read all the books you could. I mean, I kind of went back to college on this, talked to a lot of professors, interviewed a lot of authors, talked to all the speakers, and really got this dialed into how this really works and how to incorporate it into an e-commerce business. So I suggest, and like I was talking to Scott, I want to make this available. This is one of those things that I can tell you right now, I'm gonna drift away from inventory management a bit. People right now in this business, Scott's a leader in this business. He said the same thing. He said, you need to pivot. You know, this is a big deal. The people that are leaning into this and leaning forward are gonna just flourish. And I believe that. I believe strongly that right now, our society is going to change. Our society is going to change. It's just going to happen. I can't, everyone I talk to can't just wait to go to a concert right now and sit next to 25,000 other people. Same thing with a crowded bar or a crowded restaurant. People are we're being conditioned so harshly right now that it's going to change the way people interact for quite a bit. People are starting to, I mean, we've learned something called Instacart. Maybe everybody knows about it, but for the first time we started using Instacart. We have stuff delivered to our garage, and we open the garage door. I tell the guy, okay, put it there. And he leaves. And right now, the social distancing is going to greatly impact this generation. I'm firmly convinced, just like the Depression impacted your grandparents, and they reused tinfoil. And it's going to change our habits. And what it's going to do, it's going to change our habits to shopping online. So if you can get your inventory management squared away, and I know it's like the least sexiest part of your business, and it's not as cool as, you know, awesome converting ads and video, you know, video sales letters or all that stuff. But man, if you can get your numbers just nailed, you'll be in a position to launch and launch new products. And if you ever wanted to sell your business, holy cow, if you can say, yeah, we built this business on a foundation of solid systems and inventory management. Here's how we do it. It's not just gonna help you now, but if you ever want to sell your business, having systems in place that are rock solid financially and will help you scale and grow with just a great foundation. So inventoryboss.com, sign up today. take the lab. There's, like I said, there's a lecture that teaches everything. There's a lab that teaches how to use the software. Right now, it's by the end of the month, we're going to have the setup on the cloud with a ShipStation integration. So we're not quite there yet, but that's why I'm extending this out for 60 days. And we'll get you set up, we'll get your business rocking, and it'll be completely automated for you. So with that, that's my super fast introduction for you for inventory management. Scott, if you have any questions.
Yeah, Michael, I do. Yeah, I mean, like, I think we initially planned to get all the speakers in and do the questions at the end, but I think maybe since this is so specific, but I don't know, maybe you want to answer a couple questions here, and then we'll go on to Kat, who's the next speaker here. But I just wanna,
you bet.
Yeah, I got quite a few questions here, and I just hear someone who's asking. This is Rosie from Oxford, United Kingdom. She says she has a young business. She's had a big increase in sales since lockdown. She's keen to scale up her inventory and SKUs. Any tips?
The thing I would teach you, I get a lot of questions now, is people say, well, I just have one product. Should I start? I would say yes. Put like anything else, put the foundational systems in your business as fast as you can. The thing that you want to do now is just, you want to look at, I don't know what kind of business you have or what kind of product you offer. I mean, right now I'm sourcing masks for hospital contracts that we're putting together. So I don't know how long that's going to last, but right now, just look at your monthly sales. And what I tell people is take your lead time and multiply that by 1.5 in terms of your daily sales. Just to, it depends on where you're sourcing, how long it takes to get there. Don't load up too much on inventory right now. If this is a kind of a health sort of product, but boy, make sure you take the best thing you can do right now is just take really good notes on your numbers and build out spreadsheets on exactly what your sales are, and then don't get too far ahead on your inventory. Keep enough to keep in stock based on what your current sales are for the moment you're in. But cash is king right now, so hold on to your cash as tightly as you can, because there's just no knowing where this is actually headed. Period. In America right now, holy cow! I live in the state of Idaho, and we're in the news right now because people are saying, "Heck with that, we're going to wherever we want." And people are dying in New York. Our best friend's dad died last night. Not to put a downer on this, but it's real. It's happening. If they listen this up too fast, this thing could just be a slow moving train wreck for months. So cash is king. Don't get too far ahead on your inventory. But if you're doing well, stay about 1.5 times your lead time, and that should give you enough safety stock to stay ahead of everything.
Thanks, Michael. Okay, I got a couple more for you. We might as well just handle your Q&A right here since we got you. And there's some big questions.
I'm sorry. Sorry about that. I was just. Anyways.
I like it. Okay. This is a meetup. We're allowed to adapt and pivot and do whatever is the best for the moment. And I think we're getting some immediate questions here. Might as well answer them while we got you here. So I got Casey Drake. She says, one big question I've gotten from our customers that may have physical store locations: how can brands with physical stores push store inventory right now? If they keep only selling online, their stores are going to have outdated overages in inventory once they open again. Any technology or processes you would recommend that make this possible would be super helpful.
Okay. So she has
sounds like she has clients that have physical store locations.
Right.
How could brands with the physical stores push inventory? If they keep selling online, their stores are going to have outdated overages.
Outdated overages.
Once they open again.
Oh. Well, right now, like when you open this up, you said, "Hey, man, convert your inventory to cash." That is my primary function right now. And outdated overages, I'm not familiar with the concept of that, but if you are selling online right now, I would convert to cash. You can always bring in more inventory. And this is kind of counterintuitive to what I just spoke of, but right now cash is everything. And as factories open up, depending on your business, I don't know if a lot of people import from China or they import from Mexico or they build their own stuff. I mean, I don't know what business everyone's in, but holy cow, right now, cash is the most important thing you have, because it's going to give you, just as a person, a business owner, a lot of stability and in uncertain times. But if you can, like I said, if you can stay ahead of your lead time, in order enough to, like, for example, I said in my example of 70 days lead time, if you can do, if you can stay 100 days ahead of that in your inventory, do it. But if you have a decision to make between converting your current inventory to cash today, I do that in a heartbeat. You can always order more. Cash is king right now, because as you pivot, like you showed, there's declining. I thoroughly enjoyed your introduction. There are certain categories that are tanking right now, and some that are just cranking. And if you can convert to cash and pivot into another category and be nimble, you can always be nimble with cash. It's hard to be nimble with a lot of inventory. So if you can do whatever you can to convert your inventory to cash, I would do that in a minute, and then look around and pivot to the extent that it makes sense for you as a business owner. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it sounds great, Michael. And anybody who's listening right now, we still have like a few hundred people in here. If you want to send a message in the chat, you can choose to send it to the panelists. So if you want to keep any questions going on with Michael, I advise you to do so. I know Casey Drake, who asked that last question, she's asked a few. So it sounds like she's super engaged with the inventory topic.
Okay.
Casey, if you want to go into the message and tag Michael, we can keep that going. Last question for you, Michael. This is Jung Shan from Pittsburgh, and I don't have the answer. I'm hoping you do. How do we work the ROP and forecasting formula with scaling ads?
Scaling ads, there's mathematics, and then there's you as a business owner. So if you're scaling and you believe that you're going to increase your sales by 2x your sales, then factor that into your daily demand. So in my example, I gave an example of in fact, I will do this so very fast. If you have a daily demand where you have 100, just make that 200. Okay, if that's what you're seeing in your the results of your ad spend, then just plug that number, daily demand, here and here, rerun the whole thing, and then you've got your answer. So the ROP can change with you, and you can scale with it, as long as you change the variable there. And I know I'm talking about a lot of math terms, but daily demand's a variable, and if you change that, the ROP will change as well.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much, Michael. Michael, it's been an absolute pleasure having you. Thank you greatly from all of our team members. I know a lot of people are still asking questions, so if you can hop in that chat, anybody, if you have any questions for Michael, just send it to the panelists and he will hopefully get back to you. I know he's a busy guy. He joined us today. We're eternally grateful.
Yeah, and I'm happy to help all of your folks as well. If they want to send me an email, I'll help everybody that can. I'm home. I'm not doing a whole lot all day long. So I'm happy to help anyone that needs help.
Yeah, there's his email address, folks.
Okay.
He's a good guy to have a direct line to. I know I'm asking him inventory questions all the time.
All right. Thanks so much.
All right. Thanks so much. Michael Weir, everybody give a round of applause for Michael if you're at home.